During your time as a student at UC Berkeley, you'll need to consider your student visa status when you make decisions about your academics, employment, and travel. In this presentation, we will discuss maintaining your status and immigration essentials for your stay in the U.S. We will first go over what your status is, why it's important, and ensure that you know how to maintain it properly throughout your time here as an international student at Cal. Status refers to your legal presence inside the United States. For the majority of international students here at Berkeley, that is either an F1 or a J1 student status. Each status has different rules to follow and consequences if you don't. We'll go through those during this presentation. So, how can you avoid a status violation? By following all the rules associated with your status, which we will outline next. Remember, anytime you have questions, bio-advisors are the resource for information and guidance and questions related to your student visa status. Here are the top 10 rules you need to know to maintain your status and avoid violating the rules of your F1 or J1 student visa status. The first rule is to report your contact information. To do this, simply update your local U.S. address, current email, and U.S. phone number. You can update this information by visiting calcentral.berkeley.edu and navigating to your profile. In the Contact Information section, enter your phone number, email, and local address. This must be the place where you physically reside. However, temporary addresses, such as hotels, are completely okay. Don't forget to include an apartment or room number if you have one. You must report any changes in residential address or contact information within 10 days. Rule 2 is to enroll and remain enrolled in full-time units. Full-time enrollment is decided by your department. Most require that you enroll in 12 units per semester, but others may have a higher unit requirement. In addition to enrolling full-time each semester, you must also fulfill the university's registration requirements. If you do not pay required fees by the fee payment deadline, your enrollment may be canceled for non-payment. Registration occurs at the start of every semester. Make sure that you are aware of the deadlines posted by the Office of the Registrar. In order to meet the university's registration criteria, you must be enrolled in at least one course, pay fees in full or at least 20% of the semester's total via the fee payment plan, be clear of any registration blocks, and have your most current address in Cal Central. The third rule is to always get Berkeley International Office approval before taking any steps to reduce your enrollment to less than full-time units or before withdrawing or canceling. If you are considering dropping below full-time units, withdrawing, or canceling at UC Berkeley, please talk to a bio-advisor before taking any steps to adjust your enrollment. We will guide you through your options. Dropping below full-time units or withdrawing or canceling will have a serious impact on your visa status. Failure to notify bio in advance is a violation of your visa status, and it could impact your ability to continue your studies or return to Berkeley in the future after a break. The fourth rule is to obey all U.S. laws, including federal, state, and local laws, and to follow UC Berkeley's Student Code of Conduct. While you are in the U.S., you must follow U.S. laws and regulations. This includes what you do on or off campus. Remember that even if something is legal in your home country or in the state of California, It does not mean it is legal by U.S. federal law. For example, while marijuana is legal by California state law, it is not legal by federal law, and evidence of use of marijuana is a deportable offense. Any violations of any federal, state, or local laws can have serious visa consequences. Remember, any violation, such as suspension, dismissal, or an arrest, that impacts your ability to be an enrolled full-time student or continuing your post-completion employment will have a negative impact on your F1 or J1 status. If you do have any interaction with the university's Center for Student Conduct or with law enforcement, you should contact BIO immediately to talk about the impacts on your visa status, as well as next steps and resources for support. BIO is here to help you through any difficult situations. Overall, remember to study and act with integrity and honesty, be safe and peaceful, and respect consent when interacting with each other. The fifth rule means that you must have a current valid I-20 or DS 2019 from the school you are attending full-time. During your time at UC Berkeley, you must have a UC Berkeley I-20 or DS 2019 issued for the length of your degree or exchange program. If you transfer from another school to UC Berkeley, or from UC Berkeley to another school, make sure you follow the proper procedure to transfer your I-20 or DS 2019. If your I-20 or DS 2019 is with UC Berkeley, you must be enrolled in full-time units at UC Berkeley. If you plan to stop enrollment at UC Berkeley and enroll full-time at another school, you must request a transfer of your I-20 or DS 2019 to your new full-time school. It's possible to take classes at other schools at the same time you are enrolled full-time at UC Berkeley. This is called concurrent enrollment. But you can't take units from other schools to count towards your full-time enrollment for visa purposes at UC Berkeley. Those units might count academically towards your transcript or degree, but they will not be considered as part of your visa-required full-time units. The sixth rule is to be sure that your I-20 or DS 2019 is valid and unexpired at all times. Your I-20 or DS 2019 is only valid as long as you are a continuing full-time student in your degree program or on your approved post-completion training with an unexpired post-completion training authorization. Be mindful of the completion date of your academic program listed on your I-20 or DS 2019. If your document will expire before you complete your program, you will need to request a program extension from BIO before the document expires. If you graduate early, your I-20 or DS 2019 will be shortened to the last day of your final semester of enrollment. If your final semester is summer, you must be enrolled in summer. You must notify BIO of your early completion in order to avoid overstaying. Rule number 7 is to be sure that you have all necessary documents when traveling internationally. Before exiting the U.S., always check the BioTravel webpage to be sure you have all required documents for travel. Always remember to carry the original documents with you and not in your checked luggage. What documents you need to travel with may vary, so be sure to review the website to ensure you have all required documents necessary for your specific visa status. You must have a valid travel endorsement on your I-20 or DS 2019 if you will be traveling out of the U.S. and re-entering. Travel endorsements are valid for 1 year during the program of study, but BIO recommends you obtain a new travel signature every 10 months. You can find the travel signature on the second page of the I-20. If you are a J1 student, you can find the travel signature on the front page of your DS 2019. You should also never let your passport get closer than 6 months to the expiration date. If necessary, renew it with your embassy or consulate in the U.S. A valid visa in your passport is required for entry to the U.S. when you travel internationally. F1 and J1 students can legally remain in the US with an expired visa as long as they maintain their status. However, if you are planning a trip outside of the US, you must apply for a new visa abroad before you return. Plan ahead and allow yourself long enough time to take care of this. When traveling, you will also need additional documents to prove you are a currently enrolled student with sufficient financial support for your studies and living expenses. You should also bring proof of your payment of the SEVIS fee. Later, if you use post-completion employment options, you'll also need to carry proof of your employment authorization document and employment. U.S. Customs and Border Protection has rules regarding traveling with medication, pets, or food, so be sure to only travel with allowed items. Officers may ask you questions about your reasons for entering the U.S., your academic performance or program, and your activities in the U.S. Be calm, polite, concise, and honest, and only answer the questions asked. Officers must take anything you say seriously, so making jokes about terrorism, drugs, breaking U.S. laws, or other inappropriate topics is never a wise choice. Sometimes an officer may determine that you or your luggage requires additional screening. This is not uncommon, so don't panic. You may be asked to go to an area called secondary inspection, where you may be asked additional questions. Take notes about your experience, including the officer's name and badge number, and contact your bio advisor later for advice. CBP may request to inspect your electronic devices. It may be a good idea for you to consider a social media and app review. How do you present yourself to the world? Take some time to review your social media profiles and messaging apps to think about how you would feel if U.S. immigration or law enforcement reviewed your profiles, photos, and messages. Is there any possibility it might appear that you are engaging in activities that violate U.S. laws, like drugs or alcohol, your visa status, like working illegally or not attending classes, or engaging in academic dishonesty? The eighth rule is to be aware of your grace period and what you are allowed to do after your program of study ends. When you complete your program of study, you will be allowed a grace period to plan your next steps. During this time, you can depart the U.S., transfer to a different institution, change your level of study at UC Berkeley, or prepare for post-completion employment. If you are planning to work after graduation, you should talk to a bioadvisor to take the correct steps and find a plan that is right for your visa status. F1s have a 60-day grace period following the end of their program of study or authorized OPT post-completion training. F1s may use the grace period to depart the U.S., continue studies via a change of level or a transfer, or apply for post-completion OPT employment. J1s have a 30-day grace period following the end of the program of study or post-completion academic training. J1s may only use the grace period for departure. Any transfer or post-completion academic training requests must be submitted before the end of the program of study or the DS 2019 expiration date. The ninth rule relates to your ability to work in the U.S. You must obtain proper employment authorization whether you plan to work on or off campus, and oftentimes even if the position is unpaid. If you are unsure about whether you have permission, don't begin working until you have spoken with a bioadvisor. Unauthorized employment is a very serious violation of your visa status, and the Department of Homeland Security's scrutiny of student employment has been increasing. Here's an overview of the requirements. Although F1 students do not require special work authorization for on-campus employment, they must still obtain a Social Security number. More information on this later. During the academic term, F1 students can work only up to 20 hours per week, but may work more than that during school breaks. J1 students must get permission from Bio to work on campus. You'll need to complete the on-campus employment and fellowship form available on our website. The same hourly rules that apply to F1s apply to J1s in this case. If F1 students plan to work off campus, they need special authorization from either Bio or USCIS, and all employment must be related to your field of study. Check out the details about CPT and OPT by clicking on the links. J1 students that plan to work off campus will need to apply for permission from Bio. Again, the work must be related to your field of study. This work authorization is called academic training and can be applied for after completing one semester. Let's take a minute to talk about Social Security numbers. An SSN is a tax identification number that is required for people that are doing paid work in the US. It is not work authorization. You are not required by law to have an SSN to apply for or start a job. However, you can only get an SSN within 30 days before you start a job. Many students ask about obtaining a Social Security number, but you don't always need one or qualify for one. F1 students who receive a fellowship or stipend from the university that includes employment, such as graduate student instructors or graduate student researchers, are eligible for an SSN. F1 students who receive a job offer and have the appropriate work authorization may also be eligible for an SSN. In certain cases, an F1 student may not be working, but may receive a non-service fellowship, scholarship, or grant in excess of tuition or fees. If otherwise not eligible for an SSN, that student then must apply for a different tax ID called an ITIN. J1 students receiving a fellowship or stipend from the university, either with or without employment, are eligible for an SSN. J1 students who receive a job offer and have the appropriate work authorization may also be eligible for an SSN. Finally, rule number 10 is to obtain and maintain health insurance. UC Berkeley requires all of its students to maintain health insurance until graduation. This includes both F and J students. In addition, federal regulations require J students to have health insurance throughout the entirety of their program, which includes post-completion employment. The majority of UC Berkeley students enroll in SHIP, the Student Health Insurance Plan. Be sure to check it out and decide which insurance plan is right for you. So, let's quickly recap the top 10 rules you must follow to properly maintain your F1 or J1 student visa at UC Berkeley. Always update your local address, phone number, and email address. Maintain full-time enrollment. Get bio approval before a reduction in course load or withdrawal. Obey all federal, state, and local laws and follow the Student Code of Conduct. Attend the school noted on your I-20 or DS 2019. Keep your I-20 or DS 2019 valid at all times and understand your completion date. Understand your travel documents. Understand your grace period after completion. Work only with proper employment authorization. Maintain health insurance throughout your program. A final note about protecting yourself from scams. A scam is a dishonest or illegal way to make money. Scammers can take advantage of international students' concerns about their immigration status. They may call you and say something is wrong with your status and may threaten you with arrest or deportation unless you send them money. Real government officials will never threaten you or ask you for money. It's also highly unusual for them to contact students by phone. So if someone calls you claiming to work for the US government, for example, for immigration, the police, or the IRS, and threatens you with deportation or arrest, do not give them any personal information and do not send them any money. Contact the Berkeley International office right away. Housing scams are also common. Always visit an apartment or house before signing a lease or paying a deposit fee. Read through leases and legally binding documents before signing anything. The best way to protect yourself is to educate yourself. So learn more about phone, housing, and other types of scams on our Scams and Safety webpage. Now you know what your status is, how to maintain it, and how to avoid violating it. If you still have questions, be sure to check in with Bio.